Miss Wanda just jumped back into the spotlight, got everybody talking again. From the way she's been mispronouncing words to the way she's been defending Marsau like her life depends on it. The fans are sitting back like, now hold up. What did she just say? Because baby, Miss Wanda might think she's helping, but she's really exposing more than she realizes. Stay with me to the very end because I'm breaking it all down. From what Miss Wanda said about Marsau Scott and Letitia Scott to her shady comments about Arian Curry and how all of this ties into the never-ending drama between sound like she meant it. And that's where the comedy turns to chaos. Because right after that slip-up, she started talking about Arian Curry. Yes, Martell's infamous ex-side piece saying that Arian don't got no mama, no morals, no sense, and no support system. And that's when everybody's like, wait a minute, Wanda, weren't you just offending your own daughter's husband for doing the exact same thing? Yep, Miss Wanda really said she wouldn't let a man play with her the way Martell played with Arian, but the fans were quick to remind her that she's been letting Marsau play in Letitia's face for years. The hypocrisy was louder than her country accent. Honey, people started calling her out, saying you can't call another woman a fool when your son-in-law out here allegedly doing the same thing. Because remember, for years there's been talk about Marsau Scott and his alleged side pieces. All those rumors about the BMW, the mystery pregnancies, and the DMs he liked that he tried to downplay is old. And every single time Miss Wanda comes running to defend him, blaming everyone else, especially Melody, instead of holding Marsau accountable about Mel is actually reflecting right back on her and her family. Because while Melody moved on, built her businesses, and focused on peace, Miss Wanda and Letitia still stuck in the same cycle of defending a man who clearly does what he wants. And speaking of Letitia, the way she sits there smiling, pretending like her marriage is perfect, got people shaking their heads. Because every time Wanda opens her mouth to defend her daughter, she actually makes things worse. Instead of saying, you know what, maybe my daughter should demand more respect, she'll say something like, well, he not out here being inappropriate with no other woman. Girl, please, the receipts say otherwise. Fans remember that Instagram situation where Marsau allegedly liked a photo that he shouldn't have liked, that booty pic, and the way Kiki Jabbar, Letitia's cousin, had to come forward and set the record straight. Kiki said that incident wasn't 10 or 20 years ago like Letitia tried to claim, it was recent. And that's when the fans knew somebody in that Scott family been lying. Now y'all, let's keep it real. Kiki Jabbar tried to be honest on that reunion, but every time she spoke up, the Tikas and Marsau tried to silence, deflect, and make her look crazy. And Miss Wanda, instead of stepping in to tell her daughter to stop lying, jumped in to drag Kiki too. That's why fans say Miss Wanda's loyalty is fake. She don't care about truth, she only cares about protecting her image. But honey, the image been cracked for a long time. Viewers remember when Miss Wanda herself admitted she's got a husband and a boyfriend. Like, ma'am, how you gonna call somebody else immoral when you literally living in a double love story yourself? The contradictions write themselves. And the people online weren't holding back either. One fan said, Wanda is a walking contradiction. She's always in her daughter's business, never telling the truth about her marriage or Tisha's marriage. She acts like she's better than the next person, but she's the biggest clown of them all. The comments were ruthless. Another viewer said, why are we still giving Wanda attention in 2025? She's been doing the same thing for years, spreading rumors, defending cheaters, and mispronouncing words. And the gag is, they not wrong. Because here we are years later and nothing has changed. Wanda still hollering, Letitia still pretending, and Marsau still smirking like he knows he's untouchable. But baby, when she brought up Arian Curry, that's where the drama got deeper. Because we know Arian been quiet lately, trying to live her soft life, posting little subliminals online, acting like she moved on. But Miss Wanda dragged her name right back into the mess, saying Arian didn't got no mama, and that's why she lets men disrespect her. The audience gasped, not because Wanda was lying, but because, sis, you talking too loud for somebody whose own daughter been humiliated on national TV. It's one thing to spill tea, but Wanda poured the whole pot, honey. And that's when people started connecting dots. Because if Wanda's defending Marsau that hard, it makes you wonder, what does she know that she's trying to cover up? Fans think Wanda knows exactly what Marcel's been up to and doesn't want Letitia to look like a fool on camera, so she turns her anger on everyone else, especially Melody and Arian. But let's be real, Marcel Scott's smug attitude, the way he talks down to women, the jokes he makes is all given guilty energy. And while Wanda's yelling at bloggers and Ariani, Marcel's sitting back sipping his drink, watching two women argue about his actions. That's the definition of first law behavior, baby. You know what else the fans said? They pointed out that every time Miss Wanda comes online, she drags the wrong people. She goes after Melody for leaving a toxic marriage, but praises her daughter for staying in one. She calls Ariani stupid, but excuses Marcel's slick comments, and then has the nerve to tell people she's just keeping it real. Girl, keeping it real will be telling your daughter to wake up and stop letting a man play her. Keeping it real would be holding Marcel accountable for the way he talks to women, including his wife. But Wanda ain't built like that. She's from the old school, love, stand by your man even if he's dragging you through the mud. And let's talk about Marcel's part in all this, because oh baby, he's loving the attention. Every time Miss Wanda goes viral, he gets more screen time without even saying a word. He'll sit there with that smirk, letting his mother-in-law and wife fight his battles while he plays the mature man role. But viewers see through it. They know that behind that calm voice is a man who loves control. He's been gaslighting Letitia for years, making her think she's crazy for questioning him, making jokes out of serious situations, and refusing to answer direct questions. Remember when she asked about the picture of him in that hotel room? He laughed. Remember when she asked about the rumors of the BMW? He changed the subject. And yet, Miss Wanda calls him a good husband. Girl, good where? But it's not just Marcel. The fans also drag Letitia for sitting quiet while her mom attacks everybody else. Because no matter what people say about Melody, Kimmy, or Kiki, Letitia never tells her mama to chill. In fact, she encourages it. She'll sit there and giggle while Wanda acts a fool, then turn around and cry about how people don't respect her marriage. That's why people say Letitia's living in denial, because she doesn't want to admit that her perfect marriage is built on appearances and pride, not partnership. And honestly, the way Wanda raised her, it makes sense. Wanda taught her to prioritize image over truth. Now back to the I digest moment, because the internet is still not over it. Fans turned it into memes, clips, and even remixes. One comment said, "Only on the first floor do people say I digest." Another said, "She's so loud and wrong, but I can't stop watching." And that's the thing. People love to hate Miss Wanda because she's entertaining. She's loud, messy, and unpredictable. But at some point, the comedy turns to chaos. Because when you think about it, this woman has spent years bullying other women while pretending to protect her family. And deep down, you can tell that comes from insecurity. Wanda sees women like Melody and gets triggered because Melody represents everything she never had: class, education, and confidence. Let's not forget how Miss Wanda used to come at Miss Van, Melody's mama. That moment when Miss Van told her, "Don't do ghetto," will live in reality TV history forever. Miss Van handled her with grace and a calm tone that cut deep, and Wanda's been bitter ever since. Because truth be told, you can't argue with someone who refuses to get on your level. Miss Van showed everybody that you don't have to yell or hide behind a script, curse to win an argument. Sometimes your silence says it all. And that's something Miss Wanda will never understand. Now the fans are calling this new live the Wanda Expose, because every time she speaks, she gives away more about the Scott family business than the show itself. She said Marcel wasn't cheating, but then added that she couldn't tell her daughter what to do. Baby, that's code for he probably did it, but I'm not getting involved. She said Ariani ain't got no home training, but then admitted she got a husband and a boyfriend. See, she calls Melody names, saying she needs to mind her business, but Melody's the only one who actually moved on. See the pattern? Meanwhile, Ariane Curry is somewhere watching all of this unfold, probably shaking her head, because even though she's done her share of messy things, even she can see that Wanda's comments were out of pocket. Arian's been trying to rebrand, sell her clothes, and stay quiet, but Wanda brought her name right back into the mess, saying Arian didn't got no mama, and that's why she lets men disrespect her. The audience gasped, not because Wanda was lying, but because, sis, you talking too loud for somebody whose own daughter been humiliated on national TV. It's one thing to spill tea, but Wanda poured the whole pot, honey. And that's when people started connecting dots. Because if Wanda's defending Marsau that hard, it makes you wonder, what does she know that she's trying to cover up? Fans think Wanda knows exactly what Marsau's been up to and doesn't want Letitia to look like a fool on camera. So she turns her anger on everyone else, especially Melody and Arian. But let's be